Hello, everyone. It's Mr. Skin, and today we're going to talk a little spring break movies. Some of my favorites, and some that I think you may or may not know about, but you definitely should check out. But before I start, and I probably should have done the spring break thing a week or two ago when everyone was on spring break. But the way I look at it, it's always spring break at mrskin.com. So. Maybe there aren't many spring breaks left going on, but we still did this at our website, and I wanted to share it with you guys. But also, I did want to mention real quick before I start that the movie The Tuxedo, the Jackie Chan movie from 2002, was released on Blu-ray last week, and I only bring it up because one of the actresses I get asked the most about is Jennifer Love Hewitt. And I'm always asked if Jennifer Love Hewitt's ever done a nude scene. And unfortunately, she's never done an official nude scene, but she did this movie, The Tuxedo, and 1 hour, 1 minute, and 40 seconds in, she gets pushed into a pool wearing a blue dress, and underwater, her dress shifts, and you could see right breast for a split second. It's an underwater nip slip. And now that it's in Blu-ray, you can enjoy it in a little better quality. So stop by mrskin.com and check that out. That's the kind of really important, big news that I report on here at our website. But she is one of the most asked about actresses that I ever get. So I wanted to share that. But okay, so what I want to do today, spring break. We got 15 minutes here. I want to knock out movies you should check out. That are spring break movies that feature some very good nudity. And I will say the first one I took a little liberty because it's technically not a spring break movie, but I love Eurotrip from 2004. It's a movie, it's from the guys that brought you Road Trip and Old School, and I wanted to include it anyway. It's about these high school kids, friends who frolic around Europe, pretty inebriated, usually most of the time. But there's this famous scene, beach scene at the 41-minute mark, and originally the scene had a lot less nudity in it, but once they started filming, they didn't want to do like an Austin Powers thing where nude people were holding things strategically to block the nudity. They decided to go all out and thought it would be really funny if no one was covering their private parts. So in the end, there was tons of male nudes, female nudes. It was basically a European nude beach, and the extras didn't even mind it. And according to people that worked on the set, that there was a kind of a lack of shyness between takes, and the craft service time was pretty awkward. No one really cared about being nude, but that's an amazing scene. In fact, one time we did trying to think like what movie or what scene, where we put together a list of moments in movies where the most people were nude at the same time, and that Eurotrip scene ranks right up there. So I had to include it as I go down this list, but I know it's technically not a spring break movie, but they were kids traveling, and it kind of fits the description. But this one, my next one, is definitely a spring break movie. It's Piranha 3D from 2010, and a very large group of college kids are having the spring break, and it's basically, I think it was filmed at Lake Havasu in Arizona. They called it something different in the movie, but then there's a small earthquake, and it unleashes an underwater tunnel where thousands of hungry piranhas wait. And very campy movie, of course, but I guess it was filmed in 2D, and then they tried to make it into 3D. I can't remember. It's been a while, but there's a scene at the 25-minute mark, and not only do I love the scene because it's Kelly Brook and Riley Steele completely nude, except for flippers. They were wearing flippers. And then they got that famous opera song, Flower Duet, going, and the scene goes on forever. It's really great. They're both completely nude, and it's one of my favorite nude scenes of all time. But there's also the Gianna Michaels scene, the skydiving scene where she's topless, or yeah, what do you call it? Parasailing. And I guess Natasha Nice, who was a porn star, was supposed to do the scene, and Gianna Michaels ended up doing it because Natasha was arrested while working on some porn movie prior to the shooting. She wasn't able to do the parasailing scene, so the topless Gianna Michaels did it, and will live in infamy or skinfamy for doing it. So as far as spring break movies go, this was one of the ones we talked about at our website. Wanted to share it with you guys. Piranha 3D 2010 must-see spring break movie. Now, no spring break list would be complete without Spring Breakers from 2013 with Selena Gomez, Vanessa Hudgens, Ashley Benson. It was directed by the dude that did Gummo, or directed by Harmony Korine. It's a crazy movie. So Ashley Benson, Vanessa Hudgens, and Rachel, play college students, and they land in jail after robbing a restaurant to kind of fund their spring break adventures, and they're bailed out by these sleazy drug arms dealer, James Franco, who has some very dirty work in mind for the girls. And originally Emma Roberts was supposed to star in that, but she dropped it when her character was supposed to do a three-way, and she still to this day hasn't done nudity, so that's kind of a bummer. But all the girls in the movie did. Rachel Korine did the most, but there was some brief nudity from Vanessa and Ashley, but they were in bikinis the whole time. It was a really sexy movie. Ashley Benson, of course, from Pretty Little Liars in that. But yeah, Spring Breakers 2013. Actually a really good movie too. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But definitely one you have to talk about when you're doing a spring break list. Spring Break, Bikini Spring Break from 2012. Have to add that to the list too. It's about these band nerds, like they're in a band, and it's a busload of them, and they go on this spring break together, and all these actresses, ton of nudity. Doubtful you guys know these. These aren't household names like Rachel Eilig, Virginia Petrucci, Jamie Knowles, Samantha Stewart, Aaron O'Brien. Usually these band members were blowing their instruments, but when their bus broke down in Fort Lauderdale en route to the Nationals, the girls kind of ditched the unis, the band unis, and get wet and wild. And even the opening scene in this is a locker room scene with nudity from 5 actresses. And interesting note about this movie, the band coach is played by Robert Carradine. And one of the classic teen sex comedies of all time, he played Lewis from Revenge of the Nerds in 1984. So what a cool music teacher. You know it's going to be a good movie if he's the music teacher. But yeah, that opening scene is what gets you hooked on the movie. But the fact that Lewis from Revenge of the Nerds is in it is also pretty cool. So definitely check that one out. Bikini Spring Break from 2012. It's on my list. And the last one I wanted to talk about is Fraternity Vacation from 1985. And this is a weird one to look back on because if you had cable television in the in the 80s or 90s, you probably saw this movie a ton of times. And it isn't your usual 80s teen comedy because Tim Robbins is like a scheming frat brother. And he plays, his character name is Larry Mother Tucker. And it's actually a pretty well done script. And even though it was a low budget movie, when you get like, a young Tim Robbins in it, it's kind of weird to watch. But so these guys are like frat dudes, and they get access to a condo in Palm Springs, Florida, and everyone is sex crazed, as you can imagine. 1985 movie, but a pretty cool new debut in this was not Barbara Crampton. There's the famous scene the famous 80s sex nude scene with Barbara Crampton and Kathleen Kinmont at the 17-minute mark. Now, Kathleen Kinmont, interesting little trivia, she was only 19 in 1985 when she filmed this scene, and Barbara Crampton, I believe, was about 7 years older than her at the time. But from that movie, and if you watch, they're always in the same scene together. And I guess Kathleen Kinmont was really nervous on the set, and Barbara Crampton took her under her wing, and they became friends, I think, to this day. And it's pretty cool, but the scene when Tim Robbins and this other guy are in bed, and the girls strip at the foot of the bed, like I said, is one of the great nude scenes of the 1980s, and it was Kathleen Kinmont's nude debut. She went on to do... probably ended up doing about 9 or 10 more movies where she was nude. Corporate Ladder, Sweet Justice would be 2 that I would recommend where she was nude. But the other actress, Barbara Crampton, she of course did the infamous, one of the great Skingoria or horror movie nude scenes of all time in the classic Reanimator, the famous scene where she's laying down and subdued, and the guy holds a head that's still alive, just the head, as she's topless there. It's a crazy scene, one of the great horror movie nude scenes, iconic horror movie nude scenes of all time. And also she was in the classic movie Body Double, from the 80s also. So Barbara Crampton is in the Mr. Skin Hall of Fame, and probably my 3 favorite Barbara Crampton movies would be Reanimator, Body Double, and Fraternity Vacation from 1985. But so we did this at the front page of MrSkin.com. It's a trip down memory lane, if you will, and some of the great spring break movies and nude scenes of all time. So come by our website and check it out. And last but not least, I did want to mention, I talked to you guys about the $1 Million Bracket Challenge we had. Well, since I've last talked to you, we announced the winner, and the winner was Jennifer Aniston out of the 64 different actresses and celebrities on the list. So that was chosen by that independent third party I talked about. Jennifer Aniston won. So if anyone out there had Jennifer Aniston winning, please check. You could have won some big money. Check it out at MrSkin.com. But that's it. We'll have something fun next week. And I'll start working on it today, but I should have another fun 15-minute thing to do on Facebook Live next week. Thanks so much.